Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Agoracom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out important news. And we should be calling this Beyond the Press Releases because we got a number of amazing press releases to talk about with HealthSpace Data Systems, trades in Canada under HS for our friends in the US, HDSLF, and for our friends in Europe under 38H. With us is Silas Garrison. He's a CEO. If for those of you new to the story, because maybe you've seen the financing and the numbers, especially in this environment, which is incredibly bullish. Here's what you need to know about the company, that if there's one thing we know about governments, I don't care if it's local, provincial, state, federal, they got tons of responsibility. We know that, but they're also hugely inefficient. All of us have had a bad experience somewhere where someone didn't keep track of a payment that was made or a zoning or whatever the case may be. And that's usually because interdepartment failures are just far too common. So HealthSpace empowers government efficiency. And that has powered HealthSpace to become an industry-leading technology company right now, serving over 500 state, local, federal government organizations across North America. More than just lip service, their quarterly revenue for September 30th was $1.038 million, up 66%. And their 9-month revenue, I think, we're going to confirm this with Silas, is already higher than their revenues last year. Some notable contracts: Anaheim Fire and Rescue Department, Larimer County, Colorado, Sacramento County, California, Fraser Health. So, they've got fantastic clients all over the place. And we're going to talk about some financing and a new deal with Riverside County. Silas, welcome back, my friend.
George, thank you for having me.
Let's talk first about this financing, because we're in an incredibly turbulent time in the markets. Everyone knows that. And yet you're able to close financing approximately $5.2 million worth. What does that say about investor confidence in HealthSpace, especially in this environment?
Yeah, turbulent environment indeed. And anybody who's investing right now understands that. But what we saw was a lot of positive feedback. Obviously, as we're a growing company, there's always capital needs that you have to attend to. And we're doing a lot of R&D right now, which is, really going to helping us close out that $25+ million sales pipeline we've talked a lot about. We closed 7 figures of it already in January with Riverside, California. But there's more to come, obviously. And so closing out that, it was 2 concurrent fundraisers, basically a private placement and the overnight financing for an aggregate of about $5.2 million. And really, it really speaks to just when you get in front of an audience and you're able to explain the story of what we're doing, and everybody gets it, right? It's governments, they have needs that there's not a lot of technology that really suffices it in the way that we do with cloud-based solutions. And so that just speaks to it right there. People hear the story and they understand that, government's not going to stop spending money. They obviously need solutions, and we are really one of the premier choices, especially when you look at local county government.
And you're not just talking your book at the end of the day, you're delivering. So let's talk about this contract here, $1.3 million contract with Riverside County, California. What are you doing for them? And let's talk about the fact that you won this. This is a competition because they put out a request for proposal. So I'm assuming you had to compete against some other providers. So let's talk about how you beat the competition. But first, what are you doing for them?
Yeah, in short, we provide a full suite platform. So our platforms, especially for those who haven't heard the story of HealthSpace, we have several products, HS Cloud, which is our enterprise data management solution. And then we have My Health Department, which is a citizen-driven portal. And essentially, we have an ecosystem. It is an ecosystem of technologies that allow the government to take their data, whether it's their permits that they issue private businesses, the applications that they accept from citizens, down to the sanitary inspections that they conduct, think of like a restaurant score. All of that information and more will live and reside in our system, and these health department workers within Riverside will utilize our system to essentially track their schedules, their daily workflows, conduct their actual regulatory activities, and store that information in our platform, and then be able to publish that information through our My Health Department portal to the citizens, so they can interact with their government, constituents online, for easy, efficient public to private sector kind of integration.
Man, that sounds almost too good to be true. I would love if I could have that kind of thing going here in Ontario, where I'm from. And it's mobile also, right? So if I'm a health inspector, for example, and I go to a location and I got to file something or file a report, or I can do it from my mobile app. Correct? I don't got, the days are gone where I got to go back to the office and sit down at a computer, right?
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's part of the point of being a cloud-based company. With like, we also have mobile solutions, right? So they use their iPad or like a Windows tablet, but it's a very ergonomic app that we provide that allows these health inspectors to go out in the field and do their work. And you know, they don't have to have an internet connection all the time, so it works like seamlessly offline. And then as soon as they have an internet connection, you know, coffee shop, Wi-Fi hotspot, the data just instantly goes back up into the cloud. So very efficient when you're talking about not having to go back into the office, rekey data that you wrote down on paper, which sadly is still a very heavy use case in local county government.
So, and you won this. I mean, this is a big contract, $1.3 million, right? That's not small potato. That's a 7-digit. What small cap company wouldn't love to win a 7-digit contract? But you had competition. You won in a request for proposal. What was the competition like, and why do you think HealthSpace eventually was chosen?
I mean, it's pretty simple. Our namesake and reputation is accelerating, and the California market is our biggest geographic growth vertical, right? In terms of just a singular state. And we are becoming what is looked at as the predominant player. I mean, we've actually had, you know, customers comment to us that, you know, wow, it seems like you guys are just dominating everything, right? Because California.
That's awesome to hear customers saying that.
It is. And, you know, one of the things that's very gratifying about it is that they too take notice. But they also take a little pride in it, that they know that they're choosing the solution that, you know, their counterparts across the state are looking at as the best option out there. And so when in terms of head-to-head competition, you know, we face multiple different little agencies or companies that respond to these proposals. Some of them are just one-man bands that offer to build custom software, all the way to, you know, larger established companies. One in particular by the name of Excella that we go head-to-head against a lot, especially in California and in the West Coast of the U.S. And they were actually the incumbent. They were the existing provider in Riverside.
Wow, so you took an existing, this wasn't brand new from scratch. You took out an incumbent. So they're taking their software out and installing HealthSpace. Wow, I didn't, because that's a major change, and you don't make that kind of a change. I don't care what organization you are, unless the alternative, the newcomer, is just so much better.
It's true, right? I mean, our solution is better. It's modern. It's been tooled, and, you know, is ready to be delivered in a way that the other solutions on the marketplace, including the ones they were using, was very dated. And they were not getting, there's another part of this, it's adequate support and service, right? Government is very much a buyer that also likes a relationship. So the technology is the biggest piece of it all, but they still need to have proper, adequate customer service, which sadly in this market is hard to come by, right? Government is looked at as a long-term commitment when they buy. They don't change software. We know that. We benefit from that. But when that also means that they can be taken advantage of from a customer support perspective, because they sign a 5-year deal. A large multi-billion-dollar company can say, well, this is the support we are going to get, deal with it. And they really kind of have to. So in that way, we also provide exceptional customer support. It really speaks to our customer retention rate. And that, coupled with our excellent technology, really just puts us in the driver's seat of really driving a lot of growth in California and beyond.
And let's talk about growth. Your pipeline, over $25 million strong. I mean, that's, again, you're putting your money where your mouth is, because we saw the financials reported. We're seeing the financer. We're seeing the contract that you're awarded by Riverside, and you got a $25 million backlog. Let's talk a little bit about that. I know you can't be super specific, but, you know, as a sales guy myself, there's usually a funnel when you're looking at your backlog in terms of, you know, ballpark, what's near term, all the way to, hey, we just started having a discussion with George at GeorgeCom because he requested some information from us. So that pipeline obviously varies. What can you tell us about what it looks like near term, midterm, any color you can provide? That would be awesome.
Yeah, well, we announced Riverside, California, you know, in January. So that really kicked off the year. And over the now through Q2, we're really going to start to see a lot of, we expect to see a lot of sales closings because Q1 and Q4 in government procurement cycles, historically speaking, are generally the slowest. It's when they're slowest to just ink that paper and get their budgets in order. So Q2 and Q3 is usually when you see the most volume, and that probably will be very true for us this year. That being said, we're in the final stages of multiple bids, RFPs, and not only that, there's a lot of new deals that have come up. The FDA grant program, which we talked a bit about last year. So there's a $40 million grant vehicle that the FDA is publishing for modernizing food safety. And they're paying out the first tranche, the first batch of those grants sometime between now and March. So we're going to see a lot of deals close kind of in the next 60-day time frame that come out of that. And then they're going to reopen the grant vehicle later this year. So we're going to get a second bite of that apple. But we're going to see the first batch of that close in the next 60 days. So a lot of sales activity that we're expecting, that's really going to starting to ramp up in Q2. And that's about as specific as I can be. But what I will tell you, George, especially because the pandemic affected everybody, right? We were not immune. And the only really negative thing you could say that it did for our company is that it just slowed down the governmental sales cycle, right? They were distracted, all hands on deck. But we're seeing large deals that were active in 2019 that had to go on a hiatus because of COVID are now back in action. So we do it.
Is this 1.3? Is this $1+ million range with Riverside? Is that the kind of basic ballpark? I know you can't be specific, but is that kind of the deal size you're looking at, or is it a little less, a little more? I'm not sure if you can shed some color there as well.
The most specific as I could be is that, it's larger than Riverside, but beyond that, I really can't comment on the.
Okay, my job is to try and pressure, right?
But one thing I can tell you, George, is it's in our history, it's in our execution in the past. We have multiple seven-figure deals in our sales pipeline, and that's pretty much should be a given the size and history of deals we've closed in the past. So that's
Sacramento. I'm looking here, $1.6 million essentially.
Yeah.
Fraser Health, just over $1 million. So yeah, you definitely have a history of that.
For sure. And one of the things, talking about history and deals closing, one of those things is, you touched on our revenue and it's growing in our reported financials. Q3, as at September 30th, we reported $800,000 in just professional services revenue, something we don't talk a lot about, right? Because we talk about ARR, the subscription revenue, because, that's really where SaaS companies get their value. But what is really important for us, because it makes up a big part of our cost infrastructure, is that every single one of our customers goes through an implementation. We have to sit down, do business analysis, implement the software, and we're ratcheting up our professional services fees, those one-time costs we give to each customer to essentially remunerate us on the time and effort we spend with them. And we reported $800,000, by far and large, the largest quarter we have ever seen in the company's entire history, $800,000 in terms of professional services revenue. And that trend's going to continue, right? Professional services will be lumpy quarter to quarter, but overall, year over year, it's going to continue to grow in lockstep aggressively with our subscription revenue. So, that's one of the things I call attention to. And then in terms of deal closing, especially for people who aren't or newer to the story or don't pay attention to every single piece of news we put out, one of the things I'd like to call attention to in terms of historical revenue growth, which has been picking up year over year, right? But in our reported financials, it hasn't been, doubling year over year, right? It's been aggressive, but a lot of people look at it and say like, well, why isn't, when you have a $25 million sales pipeline, why isn't your revenue going to 10, 20 million? And the simple answer I can give is just look at our track record. In 2020, we closed about $4.5 million in total contracts over the entire calendar year. 2021, we closed $9.6 million. We're sitting on a $25 million sales pipeline that we're very confident will close somewhere north of 20 million of that over the course of this year. We've already doubled year over year our sales volume. We're going to likely double it again. And the difference is 2020, 2021, we focused very heavily on converting existing customers that are on our legacy platform. So the net new revenue wasn't great, right, in terms of the sheer amount. But our sales pipeline that stands right now, that 25 million, is almost 100% on net new revenue. So you're going to really start to see the sales volume continue to close because we've proven that track record. And that's going to now start to show up in our financials where you're starting to see the revenue growth grow at a percentage that people can really get excited about.
And I guess there's two different metrics people need to look at, which is bookings and revenue. Because, for example, you did this $1.3 million deal with Riverside, but that's over a 7-year period, I believe. So it's $150,000 a year in revenue. So people need to know that not all the revenue is going to be recognized this year or this quarter, but you start stacking those up and you just get great consistent year-over-year revenues from 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 different customers at the end of the day. And you just know it's guaranteed money that's coming in.
Absolutely. That's the thing. These contracts, it's guaranteed money effectively. And so because that's the nature of our business, it's great. We sign a contract and a customer, you know, one of the things we're really focused on is efficiency. We talk about it a lot, right? What is the purpose of our platform? What is the heart that drives everything we do with government? And is to help them operate more efficiently. You mentioned that at the top of the call, but one of the things is we also ourselves are really driving efficiency. One of the things I'm very excited about for 2022 is that we have a lot of R&D initiatives that we're really making our platform more efficient. And what does that efficient mean? It means faster to implement. The faster we can turn around each customer, get them live, the faster we can actually get to profitability, right? The faster that we can actually turn around and sell more customers. It's a compounding effect. So efficiency, not the sexiest, most exciting word, but I would tell you it is what's really going to transform and be the hallmark of 2022 for us. Is driving.
And when you're doing that, that's because you're also looking forward to 23, 24, 25, and whatever efficiencies you're able to win this year. I mean, they grow exponentially as your business gets bigger, right? It's almost like if you don't take care of a small problem today, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. You have to deal with it sooner or later. So by making your software super efficient today, you're really making your software super efficient for when, as you grow and grow and grow and don't have to deal with this big problem. So, and let's talk about your tech stack. Something that you've added on recently is HS Pay, HealthSpace Pay, right? I think that's a great addition to tech stack. Tell everyone, you know, what that is, because I love it. It makes complete sense. And then let's talk about what do you think it'll mean for the company over time and winning contracts.
Yeah, well, HS Pay is online fintech payment solution, right? And it's the facilitation of helping government actually collect the revenue. And in really simple layman's terms, it's just online payments, right? Allowing the citizens to go online and pay what they owe to these various government agencies that we serve. And that could be like a permitting fee, an application fee, a fine, but all centered around the regulation of private businesses like our customers do. And so they, right now, in current state, prior to HS Pay, would usually collect the majority of their revenue through paper check in the mail. And
unbelievable in this day and age that that's still happening.
It is the majority of revenue at the local county government when you're talking about the agencies that we serve. They collect the majority of their revenue still on paper. And what we're doing is with HS Pay, you know, we've talked about that for a while for those who have been familiar with the story, but HS Pay, we just saw the data, the evidence, which is our customers are collecting hundreds of millions of dollars a year. The market at large that we serve is collecting billions of dollars a year, right? In total revenue at the local county government level. And all of that needs to be modernized and digitized in terms of how they actually collect the money. And so we built out HS Pay and launched it in late October, onboarded our first dozen customers in Q4 of 21, and set to onboard another dozen or so over this next quarter. We're really focused on customer penetration and adoption because we get a clip of every single dollar that flows through here, right? So if we're trying to just focus on adoption, the more customers we adopt, the more that we can funnel those hundreds of millions of dollars of government revenue into this payment channel, and then we're able to take a clip of every payment, somewhere in the neighborhood of a half to a full 1%. So $100 payment, someone goes online and pays, you know, we will collect somewhere in the neighborhood of, you know, $1.50, and that over time, it's a volume game, right?
It's a
that over
complete
time
volume
is
game.
going to transform the way that we collect revenue. It's about diversification, right?
But you're making them so much more efficient too, right? Because imagine the time wasted. Here's George. I got to go down to the county. I got to pay a $500 permitting fee. So I got to hand him a check. So first of all, just on the citizen side, that's a problem. And then on the other side, which is the Silas, the guy behind the counter, has to get that check, file it somewhere. Someone has to manually write it in that this came from George for this. The whole thing is just so inefficient that HS pay, and if it's costing them a half point, a half point to a point or something like that to have HS pay and take away all that inefficiency, it's not a cost to them. It's an ROI, right? At the end of the day, they're making money off HS pay.
Absolutely, right? Because you're saving time. And as an anecdote, George, like I've literally sat with accounting folks in one of our accounting customer of ours, and this lady, she was a bookkeeper, and she was charged with reconciling all the checks that they would collected. They collect thousands a quarter, right? And she was standing there holding a stack this thick of actual paper checks, literally 5-6 inches thick, thousands of checks that she had to look at and actually type in the information. Type in the information. Oh, George from Agoracom, he paid his permit fee. Like thousands of that, thousands.
Nightmare. And that's a nightmare, buddy. I don't care who you are. That's a nightmare. And then checks get lost and that stuff happens. It gets filed in the wrong place. Hey, can anybody find George's check? I put in the permit file. No, it's in the zoning file. No, it's in the pool file. It's like it becomes a So bottom line, can I ask you this if it's not too early? What kind of feedback is it, or is it too early? But what kind of feedback have you been getting from the customers who have started installing HealthSpace Pay?
Love it. I mean, seriously, the feedback has been like, wow. Government technology implementations, I'll tell you, and we know because that's what we do every day. When they launch new tech, they always sit there with hesitation and nervousness, right? It's been seamless. They were so excited. Some of our larger customers that onboarded in Q4, when we went out, they literally sent us emails saying, "Congratulations, this was the most successful launch we've ever done."
Wow.
In any sort of tech, and it's been flawless, and that matters so much more. I mean, obviously with HS Cloud handling data, back office stuff, it matters. Your tech has to be bulletproof, right? But when you're talking money transactions, it's got to be like double bulletproof. And so to get that vote of confidence in real time with our customers, it's just been great. And so over time, we're going to see that revenue grow. And we talk about, you said it's an ROI, right? The government takes it one step further, is that they're really looking for an ecosystem. And the other product that we launched in 2021, and we're going to put a lot of R&D love into in 22, is GovCall, right? The teleconferencing platform for government, first of its kind, really, fully integrated into our HS Cloud data management suite. And the reason it has to be integrated is because that's what government needs and wants. They want to be able to look at a profile, say George, who owns a bunch of Starbucks across their region. They need to be able to look at that profile, engage with him, collect his money, and they don't want to hopscotch between 12 different software platforms.
All inside of one platform. I got to call on GovCall. I take his payment, HS Pay.
Yep. Absolutely.
Man, I'm excited. Like that $25 million backlog, I can't wait to see how that continues to grow and grow, because I've got to, and we'll end it off with one last question. But before that, I've got to assume that every successful installation, every successful contract win just has that invaluable tangent that they're all talking to each other, right? Government people all talk to each other. So I'm in some department in California. I happen to speak to a colleague or peers in the same department in Northern California. So say, hey, by the way, we just integrated this solution from HealthSpace, and we love it, and it's awesome. There's got to be that indirect, tangible at the same time.
Absolutely. It's one of our driving factors that we strive to create community within our customer base, because the interesting thing about the government market in terms of a buyer, right? If I'm selling CRM software to private businesses, they're not collaborative, they're competitive. But government is not competitive to one another. Riverside County to San Francisco, they're collaborative. in their approach. And so if they like a solution, if they feel like it actually made their lives better, they're going to say, yes, you should go purchase this system. And so absolutely, it's the self-feeding mechanism. The more flags that we plant, the more implementations we get live, the faster we turn around, the good word spreads. And it's just, it's kind of the compound effect and the benefit of honestly selling into the governmental space.
Last question. You're now going after a different vertical, fire departments. Why is that? In other words, what's the problem you're solving there? In addition to what you've mentioned, but maybe there's a specific problem, and how big do you think that vertical could be?
Yeah, it goes back to what I was just saying, right? It's that compound word of mouth spread. And that actually happened with, so Anaheim, the city of Anaheim in California, they selected us actually after hearing some, positive praise across the state. And in particular, some of their neighboring counties who are using us on the health department side, they are like, we don't really have the right solution. We're looking for something new. And so our business development team reached out to them, built a good dialogue, and essentially showed them the power of our platform. And they're like, oh, it makes sense. Yeah, your name may be HealthSpace and you may work mostly with health departments, but this absolutely works for us. And the reason it works for us is because we engineered it as such. We're not just health specific, right? It's a local government data management platform. And so they saw HS Cloud as being beneficial in their hazardous material hazmat program, where they actually have to track, hazardous waste materials, spills, things like that. The health department uses us for that as well. In California, both the fire department and the health department sometimes share that duty. But there's also a lot more that they're going to be using us for over time, which is, occupancy permits, those type of things that you see from the fire department, or maybe most people don't pay attention. I walk into a business, always look and see what paper from the government's hanging on their walls, because I'm like, that's an opportunity. But that being said, fire department, in terms of overall market opportunity, it's in the billions, right? Because the fire department as a market is drastically larger than the health department market that we serve.
Wow, I would have thought the other way around.
Well, there's 3,200 health departments across the U.S. 27,000 fire departments. And you're talking about an agency that gets a lot of federal dollars. Health departments do too, but in particular with FEMA and just the fact that it is, it's fire. I don't think I have to over-explain the need for such an agency. It's a drastically larger market for us. So we're going to get our first success in our win with Anaheim. We have a few other agencies we're talking with in California that may turn into some actual landed deals here soon. And we're going to use that, build that traction, build that reputation in the fire department space. And then we're going to go full bore on an aggressive sales game, probably in the latter half of 2022.
Walk before you run, but you already know you're going to walk. You still want to prove it and then start running. So I know I said last question, but this is a very short answer question. Safe to say, Silas, that between the record revenues that you're reporting, financing that you're bringing in, the backlog, the contracts you're winning, the product expansion with HS Pay, and now vertical expansion with fire departments, fair to say that HealthSpace is the strongest position it's ever been in, and 2022, I mean, nothing goes perfect, I know, but 2022 looks like it's just going to be a great year for the company?
Absolutely, right? We launched our HS Cloud, our cloud platform in 2018. It's a proven market vehicle now, live in hundreds of agencies, right? Our market reputation precedes us. At this point, we're now able to focus on efficiencies, right? Getting to profitability, focusing on getting our customers live faster. We're focusing on the finesse, and the execution is kind of taken care of because the market is there. They're ready to buy. We're looked at as the market leader. So for us, we're going to continue to scale. And scaling is the biggest challenge of any company that's growing. But we're now focusing on the finesse things, right? The efficiency. And that really just speaks to where we're positioned in terms of our growth trajectory. Yeah, and I would say that for sure, for your question, never been a better time to really be involved in HealthSpace, and I've continued to remain at just top levels of excitement, and every day wake up with just driven purpose of knowing what we're doing, and we're going to continue to execute.
Well, congratulations, Silas, because one thing that's important at Agoracom, clients or not, partners or not, is third-party validation. You got to have some sales. If you don't have sales, you got to have partnerships. If you don't have partnerships, you got to have, awards. You guys got all this stuff. That's the great part. You've got great sales. You got great pipeline. You've got deals. I mean, you guys are knocking it out of the park, and can't wait to see what you're going to do in the rest of 2022, and can't wait to have you back. It sounds like we may be talking about Anaheim Fire Department sooner than later. So when that launches, would love to have you back on. But congratulations, my friend.
Awesome, George. Much appreciated.
For everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, or your favorite podcast platform to Silas Garrison. He's CEO of HealthSpace Data Systems. The company trades in Canada and the stock symbol HS for friends in the US, HDSLF. Guys, you've heard the record numbers in terms of financials. You've heard the pipeline. You've heard the deals. You've heard the financing. Now's the time for you to do your due diligence. Two ways to do that. First, get to the company's profile page on Agoracom. We got a good 1,000-foot view for you there because there's a lot of moving parts in HealthSpace. This is cutting edge, brand new technology. So we've got it really nicely laid out for you to understand. Then from there, then hop over and you got that knowledge to the HealthSpace website. Do your deep dive due diligence, and hopefully today you discovered your next great small cap technology company. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you next time. Hey guys, this video is over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our channel and never missing another great Agoracom small cap video.